it's time to give the Griso a service. So I've got to warm the bike up because you want to get the fluids and all a bit warm so that then they'll come out better. And that way you have a better clean, better finish. If you refer to the book of words will tell you all the stuff you need to know when we do a service for a motorcycle. Taking it for a bit of a warm-up. For the old Griso, look, you need some engine oil, the engine, plus an oil filter, some gearbox oil for the gearbox, and then for your transmission fluid. So I normally have a rag, the appropriate sockets, and a socket set. And I also need a screwdriver, because I was racing a bit with it. A hose clip around here, so that we can lock that nut in place so it wasn't going to come apart. It's nice and warm, everything's feeling warm, so everything should flow out really nice and easy. The bike's not clean, I haven't cleaned it yet, but that doesn't really matter too much. And also we're going to service the spark plugs, which is just replacing them with some 2 brand new ones. The bike does take 4 spark plugs with 2 inners. They're long life, you don't need to worry about them all the time. We're on 190,000 Ks. To be honest, I'm over 190,000 Ks. I don't change things right on the minute. At the end of the day, you'll either be a little bit over, a little bit under, don't matter. Let's get the oil out. You will also need a filter tool to remove the filter. This probably doesn't quite fit the filter that I've got, but it'll wedge on enough that it'll do the job. So we won't worry about it too much. Just like to clean it up around where the oil is going to come out, and also where the oil is, or fluid, whatever it is, that's going to go in. The oil is going to be hot, so be careful, and you shouldn't get this stuff on your fingers. I normally just stand it with my finger touching on the end until I get to the point where the thread is almost tripping out on itself, right there, you see, right? And then I just pull it quickly, and there you go. Minimal oil on the finger, wipe that off quick, and there you go. You're probably going to tell me, oh my goodness, that oil does not look good. And you're right, that oil doesn't look good. That's 10,000 Ks on that oil. And remember, I do have some compression issue on the left hand cylinder, so it's likely that some carbon or whatever from combustion is potentially leaking into the oil system. So, you know, that's probably to be expected. Clean off this here, make sure that you get rid of all that stuff that's stuck to the magnet. Gearbox is also a 17mm. Now, I did strip this thread once, but I had a guy fix it for us, and I haven't had a problem since. So just had it, I think, drilled out and put a helicoiler. But you just got to be mega careful. It's damn difficult. Should just wind straight out, but of course, because it has had a helicoil in there, just a little bit stiffer. Alright, so what's this all look like? Won't be as hot, which is good. And the good thing is I'm not seeing any white gunge come up in there, so we'll take that as a positive. But you can see on there, I won't put the camera too close, it doesn't focus that well. You can see some little bits of metal on there, and I think every time I've changed it, in the 19 odd times that it has been changed, there has always been a little bit. So I wouldn't get upset about that. So the rear transmission one is also a 17. You've got these cables and stuff around here, which just makes it a little bit tricky. So I generally just use a spanner. And I've got to make sure that I go the right way, which is this way. Just to crack it, and then I use a muscle container, which is awkward. I should cut it out a wee bit so I can get easier access, or easier to hold it onto the back wheel here so that it doesn't go anywhere and oil doesn't go all over the wheel or tyre or whatever. It's a bit tricky, but there it goes. And once again, that's actually not looking too bad. Yeah, there's a little bit of blackness there in a sense, but I guess that's probably just whatever. Well, it is whatever, isn't it? So if we just prop that up, I think, or you prop this here, it's really handy. Just prop it up with that. Generally don't get too much on the back on this one, but again, clean it up, making sure it's clean before it goes back in, and that way then the magnet isn't overwhelmed with metal and can continue collecting metal chunks. Well, no, hopefully not chunks. Don't be collecting chunks. There's not much in there, to be honest. 3.6 litres into the engine. 500 mils into the gearbox, and then when we come back down here we're looking at 380 mils of fluid. The cap's off so that then you can put fluid in. They would recommend that you replace the O-ring washer each time, just so that I guess your keeping a good seal. And yes, that's probably true. I don't have replacement washers for this change, which I should have probably sourced, but I didn't. Don't drop them into the oil because it's just even more painful. They're all looking good, and I also clean them up too before putting them back in. Just don't drop them into the waste oil. Next part we've got to get out now is the oil filter. Try and prop the bike up right too, so it's leaning on me, leaning towards me, and just to drain out the last little bit, because of course when it's on its side stand, and because this doesn't have a centre stand, the oil is going to sit to one side. Makes sense, doesn't it? Time to carefully wind it all back in. Just a little tweak, that's it. Give it a wipe ready just so that all the surfaces are clean. And I'll put that back on there. This is taking me all of like so many, how long now? 10-15 minutes. Probably taking a little bit longer because I'm waffling to you. Not blaming you though. Filter can be a challenge to get out. This doesn't fit the actual filter properly. And this is the gross one, and I should be wearing gloves to be honest. Here. Oh, that's handy. I've got a glove that's about 10 sizes too small, but that's alright. There we go, we're off. We'll just drop it into the container. What I like to do here is to have a good wipe around up inside there, because underneath the bike there's this mud and everything gets up in there, especially unfortunately with some of the riding I do. I don't help it, do I? Well, I've got rid of all the leakage there. We'll move that forward. We'll just throw that up in there. Have a good look around. A good thing to make sure too is that on the end of your oil filter there's a rubber seal. You would know that, and make sure that is actually coming out. I've had one time it's not fitting right. Why is that not fitting right? And the reason why it wasn't fitting right is because that blooming seal, rubber O-ring, was still stuck up in the blooming housing. It happens. Well, I'll let you have a look up in there. You have a look, tell me if that's clean. Whatever your answer is, it's too late because the new oil filter's on there. Brand spanking new oil filter. No, it doesn't fit. To be honest, it doesn't really matter, because you're not actually doing it up to any like massive torquing sort of thing. You're just doing it up and then a bit of a turn. Oh, they do have a torque meeting here. 1.2 kilograms per metre, 12 newton meters. What I do is I put it up in there, put a bit of oil around the edge there, put it up in there, and then tweak it, put this on the edge, tweak it a bit more, and as long as it feels good and I don't see any oil on my garage floor, you know I've got it right. We can always tweak it some more if we need to. Oh, we just do that around the lid, eh? There's a bit of oil there. Put that around there. So I've got to fill up the oil, goes in through here. A little bit of seepage here for some reason. It was coming from something around under here. But it's alright, doesn't drip anywhere, so it's just a bit of seepage. As long as I've got water there at the very minimum, but I tend to want to be about halfway maybe. 3.5 litres. I will just put in whatever. I will put in close to 3.5 litres, yeah, seriously. We'll start at 3 and then go from there. Clean the filter. This filter's got a wee gauze in the bottom, so that's handy. Pour the liquid gold in there. Looks better than what came out, that's for sure, doesn't it? The lifeblood of the Griso. Some people might say too, I'm not sure, you can tell me if I'm wrong, but maybe you should fill up the oil filter before installing it onto the bike. I've never done it actually, to be honest. I've always just put it in dry. What I tend to do for when I'm putting the gearbox fluid in is, because it's on the site full of hole, is I've got the bigger container with heaps in there, and I just take one of these containers. It's not 100% perfect, but it's close. I'll put a 500 mils in there, one bang, boom, and then put it in there. That way I know that it's close to the 500. There we go, got 500 in, and we just squeeze it on in. Takes a little bit of time. It's probably the back one that's the hardest one because it's such a tiny hole. There we go, that's that done. So put that cap back on there. Righto, so I'm just going to do a quick check to see how much fluid I've put in so far. I haven't completely emptied out the container. I think it was just over 3.5 litres or so. So just remember, the oil filter is not full, so I'm going to leave it as that. Sometimes doing the work in the non-workshop is actually pretty damn good. We haven't done the rear transmission, so we'll do that real quick. And we need a 380-ish. That should do it. This is a tricky one to fill. I normally just take my time. I'm never in a rush for this. And just let it flow on in. Might take a few minutes. I know some people might fill it just to the top of the where it overflows on the gearbox, and I think some people may even do the same with the rear transmission. I've never actually done that. I've always just gone with the number that they say in the book, whether I'm right or wrong. I guess the book can't be wrong because someone wrote it. You'd hope that it was Moto Guzzi, but I think there's some interpretations and ideas that differ, and that's fine too, because obviously over time we all find things work a little bit better or maybe more effective and efficient and stuff, eh? This is time consuming. So, and this is in preparation for going to the Cold Kiwi. Well, not so much, oh it is really in a sense, and also the fact that we need to do 190,000 kilometres service. Trying to just have a look over the bike, make sure everything is all good, and make sure there's nothing loose, give everything a good rattle over, and so on. What do you do next? Well, we said about spark plugs, didn't we? Spark plugs, real simple. Cap comes off, spark plug lead to the side. That's the right hand side cylinder. Okay, I'm probably a bit like reading tea leaves, hopeless, but I'm going to say though, the left hand side cylinder is got a bit more carbon build up there, especially on one side more than the other. We'll put in new spark plugs, job done. You know, look at that though, a new spark plug next to an old spark plug. Doesn't the new one look delicious? The engine is going to love me for it, I hope. I don't want to go too tight on them either, I don't think. So what else has got to be done? Well, general check over, check the brakes, brake pads. We'll have a look at those. Might even take a caliper off just to have a look. And that, my dear YouTube friends, job done. What I'd like to do also is to take these off and do the tappets, just to check. May not need to adjust anything, but we'll just check. And throttle body balance. Reset the TPS. Day after, changed the oil in the bike, and we are just going to have a look in the dipstick and see what we have. Because of course, remember, we didn't fill up the oil filter, and I've run the engine just to get into the garage, 10-15 metres, 2 or 3 minutes, but I wouldn't want to be too much over the halfway mark, to be honest. So I'm happy with that. I think that's fine. That'd be fine. If you think I'm reading this wrong and I should have more oil in this engine, hey, tell me. Throw it in the comments, yo. That's not running too bad. Now it's sort of settled a wee bit as I'm filling the garage up with fumes. I feel like a nap. Don't be stupid. Anyway, thanks for watching that bit. What would you do after you've done the valve clearance? If you've got the gear, got the stuff to do it, reset TPS. I'll show you how to do that next.